We're live. We did it. I see people rolling in. So
Yes. Yes.
welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Call, what are your Thanksgiving plans?
So I'm very lucky in that the men in my life are amazing cooks, and my husband and also my brother, my younger brother. We're going to Pennsylvania tomorrow. He and his wife are cooking the feast for the family, and yeah, I enjoy to indulge, but I'm not a good cook, and I'm so lucky that people in my life are good cooks. So that's our plan. What
I
about
love
you?
that. That sounds awesome. I am with you. I'm also not a great cook. I actually am gonna try to make a sweet potato pie at
Hmm.
my husband's request. So we'll see. I'm a better baker than cook, but he's a good cook. So we're just having here
Yeah.
low key on the farm.
Nice.
So it'll be
Nice.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm excited that we were able to talk today live. For those of you who are joining, I'm Jen Benford. I'm joined today with Call. She is a friend of mine and we met on Substack. So,
Mhm.
really excited to have her here. Welcome to the Divergent Talent Alchemist. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a content creator, a coach. I just launched my business in early January. And so I write the Divergent Talent Alchemist, and I've been starting to have people on who are like-minded, creative. And so Call happens to be one of those people. She is incredible. She's a yoga instructor. She has worked at companies like Google and CBS. And she also teaches. She's a marketing guru and she teaches at NYU.
Yep.
So welcome, Call.
Thank you, Jen, and congratulations to you on your first year as a creator. I've read the post and your reflections, and it's really amazing. You keep putting yourself out there, you keep showing up, and that is a recipe for success. So,
Thank you.
congrats. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot. And I'm excited to have you on. I think the more we have, honest conversations about important topics like neurodiversity. Today, I know we're talking about artificial intelligence, which
Hmm.
you have a ton of knowledge in. So, for those of you joining, Call is going to take the lead today. But before we dive in, I just want to ask if you could drop in the chat a single word that sums up your current relationship with AI. So, are you curious? Maybe you're skeptical, energized. We just want to get a sense for where everybody's coming from. So, who wants to be brave and start us off in the chat? I see some hearts. Alan, I see you in here. How are you feeling about AI? Ellen,
Sometimes people are just ear hustling, like, they're there, they're listening. They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want they don't wanna okay, here we go, strained and ambivalent from Alan.
yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that we all have kind of ambivalence towards AI, and that's why we are having conversations like this, to have reflection in the moment, because then we are not drawn into reactivity and just following the herd and following um, external stimuli. We're tapping into our own knowledge. And Jen, I love this collaboration between us because we are both nerve divergent people who love to create, who love to create communities and content. At the same time, we want to remain authentic and
Yeah.
grounded in ourselves. So that's kind of what this conversation is about. How do you maintain that mindfulness? And I would just want to ask you, what, like, in the most simple sense, how does AI help you or hurt you in your work?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm definitely I will say it's a loaded question, right? I am a fan of AI, but I do agree. that it has, its pros and its cons. Where I've seen where I've got the most help, I think, is executive dysfunction and organization. So, for example, I catalog a lot of what I'm working on, what I'm writing. So, I have a couple different work streams going. I have my coaching work stream, I
Mhm.
have a training work stream where I'm building courses. And then I have, my Substack content as well as selling on TikTok. So I have a lot of moving parts. And as a small business owner and a department of one,
Mhm.
I've really seen a ton of value in helping me organize my thoughts. So, like, for example, I have ton of articles and communications campaigns coming up for my Substack. Well, a lot of how I organize those thoughts, every time I get an idea as a neurodivergent person, I dump it in there, or I keep it in a phone note and then dump it in there, all together. And so I might go to ChatGPT, for example, and say, hey, what do I have in the hopper that I could write about
Mhm.
if I'm hitting like a roadblock or something? The other thing that I use it for is to brainstorm ideas for titles, for call to actions, especially as a content creator, which because your marketing communications executive experience, like that hook, that first 3 seconds, you're hooking your reader,
Yep.
you're hooking your audience, or you're losing them. And so I use it to kind of ideate in that way as well.
That's awesome. So those are great ways that help you and support you. I would say I probably use a similar approach because, like you, I have many interests. Everything is varied, and it helps me package it,
Yeah.
package it, and bring it together. And as you very importantly brought up, being a solo entrepreneur, we need people to bounce ideas off, and we need community, and we find each other through places like Substack. But sometimes there's not always someone to chat an idea through, so to have those tools where you can bounce off ideas, I think is such a great thing. So what about, how does it hurt you?
Yeah. Yeah. This is such a good question. So it's So a couple different things. First, proofreading my work. I have Yeah, so I have found that, like, if I write something and I plug it in, and mind you, I've pretty much trained my ChatGPT. I call ChatGPT Sage. I've named my bot and everything.
Oh.
And yeah, interesting, right? I talk to it like it's my friend. Um, because I think, and I would be curious your mindset on this too, but I think that you get out what you put in. So the prompting is so important,
Mhm.
but sometimes it strips your own like personal brand a little bit and almost changes the narrative. So you have to be careful and almost like coach it like you would a human to get out what you want. So benefits prompting huge. And I want to keep my brand voice. And so the other thing I think I need to be more mindful of is it's also biased. Because of the way it's programmed, it's biased like a human being based on inputs and experiences. So like we were laughing when we were prepping for this, which by the way, we used AI
Yes, we
um,
did.
for an outline, but it's like I said to Call, I said, wait, ChatGPT told me I'm in the top 5% of users. Like, did it lie to me? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's such an important point, Jen, because it's the confirmation bias that you just mentioned. These are designed very similar to social media, the social media algorithm. It's designed to keep you coming back. Okay, so its goal is to hoover up as much information from you as it possibly can. And the way it does it is through flattery and engagement,
yeah,
and it gets you to keep coming back. And if you're aware of that, you can tweak it. You can get it to go in other directions and dimensions, and make it be a little, make it be more critical. Um, yeah, it's that this is a point that you're aware, I'm aware. I hope and I wish for all creators that we are mindful of this, that we don't go down the trap that we did with social media, that we're just hearing what we want to hear. And yeah.
Yeah.
So um do you do any is there any part of your process that you do to make sure that your authentic voice is coming through? Like, how do you make sure? How much is too much AI?
Well, I think you can kind of tell, right, when somebody's just used straight AI sometimes. Um, so I have my set of brand guidelines that I built like when I started my business. And, so it's everything from your visual identities to your verbal identities. And so, like, every time I'm writing something, I'm looking to see, okay, does this marry up to my mission and my vision? Because that's why we have those things, right? And also, does it
Mhm.
fall within my brand guidelines? And we both have worked in a corp comms capacity, so we know, like, it's a similar
Yes.
vibe in the
Yes.
corporate space, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
sometimes the most interesting stuff happens when you violate the brand guidelines. That's like, that's what you have
I
those
know.
guidelines and you make most people use them.
Yeah, you may right. You have to follow the brand guidelines, but I'm gonna color outside the lines.
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
true. It's true too, because as a creative person, you wanna have that freedom to
Yes.
really be able to color outside the lines and try something that's new. Um, I also have used it to look at, like, data analytics and stuff, to see, like, okay, here are my top, 3 articles on Substack, and, like, we're looking at the similarities across the board and the themes and what resonated with people so that I can kind of predict, okay, what content is gonna do well in the future.
Yes.
So that's another way that I've utilized it. What about you? What are some pros and cons that you see?
Yes. Thank you for asking, Jen.
Mm,
This is part of why I wanted to have this conversation is I'm still figuring it out. And
yeah.
I learn through conversation. And for me, I have a very kind of clear block of time where when I'm doing my writing, it's about 2 hours a day. My process is it's a strong offline process that starts before I go on to write. And it's a ritual that I do every day. So I can focus on what's in my mind and what I want to express and not just dial into the chaos of the internet and all things other people are saying. So it's usually I do a meditation session with myself under, maybe between 5 and I usually do 12 minutes, morning and evening, and it helps me drop in. And then, I close the door and I stay in a state of, just me working is my focus time, and nobody can mess with that time. And it's just if you can give yourself any pocket of time each day where it's your deep work and you're really being creative, at most, I have 2 really good hours in me a day, and the rest I use it my focus on other things. But the AI, like similar to you, is there to assist me in research. So I'm a big fan of Google's Gemini. I use Deep Research. It is such an amazing tool. So my background, I have an academic background. My master's thesis was about media reporting on media and I had to go through the whole thesis defense and do literature review and all that kind of stuff. And and then in my marketing career, I did a lot of bespoke research, creating panels and going behind the glass window and listening to what people say. Um, and now to have this tool that allows you to you don't have to go you don't have to go to the library, you don't have to do all the stuff yourself. You can access really high quality information quickly, and it's trustworthy. I mean, you have to know how to do trial and error and spot mistakes or gaps, but, especially in any kind of creative writing, if you wanna go back in time and see what was on front page of the newspaper a certain day, you used to have to go to a library and look on the microfiche and all that stuff. You can approximate it without going now, you can get a sense. Not everything in the world has been digitized yet, but you can tap into so much that's close to it. So to me, it's it's invaluable for research. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and, like, to your point earlier, double checking your work
Yeah.
just to make sure because it can have errors. I think matter of fact, at least in ChatGPT, it has a line at the bottom that says, "ChatGPT can be wrong," or something
Yeah.
to that effect,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I love that. It's a great, like, one-stop shop to
Yeah.
get things that you need from a research perspective, so, oh gosh,
Yes.
awesome.
And it also can facilitate momentum because sometimes if I'm in a flow state, and things are going really well with my writing, I want to do more research, which might entail, calling someone and speaking to an expert or reading a book. But in that moment, I just need the gist of it. And
Mhm.
that's where it helps me get the gist so I don't have to stop everything to do that. I can keep going and then come back to it. I find that to be really helpful. The other part is just from a comms perspective, not everything has to be, award winning. Okay. So when I was in corporate comms, you send emails and some of what I would call them is functional comms. It's like you got to tell people to submit their thing and do their evaluation, the form is due. Those are functional comms. Nobody should be spending a lot of time on that stuff. That
Right.
should be just have AI do that. And that's you can do it in your personal life where if you have things that you need help with, I even use them for recommendations for my students.
Right, right,
So, as a professor, I get asked to write recommendations, and I put in all of my rich details about the student, and then I let it craft the narrative. And then I tweak it and make it more my own, but um, there's no reason for me to sit there from scratch when I don't need to.
right. I love that so much, and for those of you who are listening, like, when you're in a corp comms executive space like Carl was, you know, you are doing a lot of ghostwriting for the C-suite, for other executives, I've spent some time in a role like that as well, so when you were getting we've worked in a large corporation and you're getting that email from the CEO, like, Carl is the mastermind behind that, and yeah, how many messages, need to go out when you look across the human experience? So I know you worked with the sales team, right, at
Mhm.
Google.
Yep.
You have your sales messages, you have your social media, you have your internal and external employee communication. So your talent marketing,
Yep.
all of these things. And so, why would you not, to your point, leverage AI to do the
Absolutely.
work?
Yeah, I mean, I built a whole system where every email, presentation, communication, anything that this executive did was in it was called Notebook LM. It's a Google tool and it's really cool. It's like creating your own private closed off um GPT, and it only draws on your content, so it's not mixing in hallucinatory, things that you don't want. So that is to me was a great use of the tools. But you don't want to sacrifice the fun, the spark of creativity, the spark of human connection, because that's what gets people to break through and reach out and actually learn. Jen, I was wondering if you could talk about how you manage your own energy as a creator, um, using AI tools, if there's anything, new or that you think you could be doing differently or better.
Yeah, I did a lot of thinking too after our prep calls, honestly, and And I realized, like, I may be over relying on AI in other areas. So, like, for example, my dog's sick. Okay, I'm like, "My dog is sick.
Aw.
Here are the symptoms, what could this be?" So, like, I should be calling my vet. I did call my vet. I'm kind of giving an oversimplified example of, like,
Yeah,
how I use it even outside of work, like, in my personal life,
yeah,
and I know, you have a lot of knowledge around, okay, well, where does that information go?
yeah,
Um when you upload it. And so if anybody ever looked at my search queries, like, have fun inside my brain because good luck. I think you'd last a day.
yeah.
But all of that information is readily available to other people, like, in the future. So I think, I'm not a very private person. Like, I have my part of my brand as a coach and a content creator is, like, out there in the
Mhm,
ether. And so,
mhm.
um, I think I'm using the chat bot as, like, my friend, and I think
Yeah.
I'm over relying on it, honestly. So I say that because, you know, I think we can do that. I think it's important not to lose, like, your own human thought patterns. So I love it. It's great, but I'm starting to scale back a little bit, to be honest with you.
Well, awareness is the first step. So when you have conversations like this, you're like, okay, you realize. And I think I do that. I also think I over rely on it sometimes. I've gone down paths because, everyone longs for this like shortcut that's going to be the silver bullet that makes it easy. And it's not. And I'm curious regarding the privacy point, um, you know, whether how you feel about your information being out there. Like, I personally would never put any medical information in there because I'm from Gen X, and we talked about different attitudes people have
Yeah.
towards technology and AI. And you know, I just don't trust that my information is not gonna be on the homepage of YouTube tomorrow
Right,
or at
right.
some point.
No.
I don't think anyone really cares. I don't think I'm that important, but I also know that at some point, someone might be able to make some money off of my information.
It's true, it's true. I'm a millennial, but I'm also an old soul, but I also resonate a lot with Gen Z. I feel like I resonate across generations, right?
Mhm.
I, like, kinda live in paradox in the middle a little bit, like, being able to see actually a lot of it, but being able to see the pros and cons. I mean, if people want my information, they can take it. It's already out there because
Yeah,
I in my writing, I talk a lot about ADHD and neurodiversity because one of my goals is, to normalize that and to raise awareness and to help people feel seen and heard. And so, if but I do think if somebody, like, looked at my search queries, they'd be like, "This girl's a little cray cray." I think if you looked at anybody's Google search, you'd probably be like, one time I'm Googling, "How do I boil, this pasta?" And the next it's like, "My dog's sick, and okay, I need to write this article. What are some ideas?" So, yeah, I'm gonna be using it less,
yeah,
um, in that regard, but to answer your question, I'm not like, people can paint anything that they want, when stuff is out there, and I think
exactly.
they're gonna do it anyway. So that's
Yeah,
my, like, millennial perspective, I suppose.
yeah. No, it's totally valid, and we all just E like, I worry about putting stuff out there, but then I want more stuff out there, so it's never easy. The other day, I have an 11-year-old daughter. She's having a white elephant with her friends, like, gift exchange on Friday,
Mhm.
and we were trying to figure out how to actually execute the white elephant because there's, different ways. For those who aren't familiar with white elephant, it's a gift exchange, where, everyone brings a gift and then, um you swap gifts in various creative ways. And I went to Gemini and I was like, what are some good ideas for how to do a white elephant? And Maeve goes, Ma, can't we just use our brains? Put the AI down. And I was like, I believe the children are our future, man. Like, I was so proud of her that she had that awareness that, we cannot and should not outsource all of our creative thinking and critical thinking to a machine
That's
because
yeah.
what does it do to us, It's through brainstorming and chatting and coming up with the solutions ourselves that defines us as human beings.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting very existential here.
No, it's beautifully said. I'm cracking up. I wish I had that wisdom when I was a kid, because 'cause I'm just remembering when AOL came out, and I'd be running downstairs, and our computer was in the basement, and I'm, like, ready to
Oh,
go on AOL and set up my lined up AOL message, and, I would just get so excited, and then someone would answer the phone and the internet would drop,
yes,
and I would get so mad. So we have access to so many tools, and I think, like, the takeaway is use with caution, for your benefit, but just be careful. Like, don't outsource your full voice and your
yes.
thinking, to Paul's point.
Yes, yes, because they are addictive. And, just like social media is addictive, AI is addictive. So we have to be conscious of it and, focus on the good parts. But anything, I'm a big believer as a yin yoga teacher, everything in moderation,
Yeah.
right? So you don't need to demonize it. These tools are incredible. What they empower and enable is thrilling, and there's so much potential in them, but not if they are completely unrestrained and not if they are just let loose. You don't give children phones when they're babies, or neurologically, we're not built to be having all access to all of this information. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. So, Jen, how are you using AI for your Christmas holiday
Oh
coming
my gosh.
up? Going off the script here.
Am I? Am I using No, I don't think I am at all. I'm just thinking, no, I don't we're doing traditional human stuff.
See?
So, like, we're going to get a tree.
Yes.
We always pick our tree, which I love, and setting it
Mhm.
up and decorating. Um, so yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'll be using it for anything yet. I'll keep you posted,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, maybe for recipes and stuff could
See,
be a cool thing.
that's a very good use for it. So,
Yeah,
that's wonderful. Um, let's see. So, should we shift into a lightning round?
sure.
Um, so what is your favorite AI tool right now?
ChatGPT. What
Okay,
about you?
Gemini.
Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
Google.
mean, I'm
Yeah.
biased, just a former Googler, but, they're very similar. I just know, Gemini a lot more. And, okay, any daily mindfulness habit that you do, Jen?
With AI? No, I don't involve AI, in that. So, like, my thing, you were talking about your mindfulness earlier. When I wake up, when I used to work in corporate, I would just be, like, sometimes not even brushing my teeth, going right to the computer, checking my email, sometimes from bed, super unhealthy. So, when I left corporate America, I decided, like, I am going to be a lot more mindful in the mornings. I'm gonna have my coffee. I'm going to sit there and pet the dogs and, like, write down my thoughts sometimes. Sometimes I'll journal, sometimes I'll sit out with the chickens. Um, but no AI is involved in my mindfulness because that's my time. Like you
Yes.
said, I love the term me time, and carving out that, whether you're a busy mom, you're working, a hard job, like, you were doing all these other things, and I think it's so important to be mindful and have that time,
Mhm.
um, to center yourself and be grounded, because
Yeah,
when you get bumped off of that,
yeah.
that's when your nervous system freaks out and everything starts to spiral.
It's so true, and you mentioned busy moms. One of my dear friends, Nikisha, on her podcast, she was talking about, when her kids trigger her in one way or another, she has this ability to just take a deep breath and stay centered. She had to learn this over time after being drawn into reactivity, but to take that deep breath and just pause before you go responding. And, even in a creator life, I would assume that's a powerful tool and a useful tool because it's not always, a joyful community. Sometimes there's folks who are not,
Mm.
part of our
Yes.
mission and who are not, on board with what we're trying to do.
Oh my gosh. That is one of the biggest lessons that I've had since starting my business.
Mhm.
And again, I do a lot of social media, so I'm putting my stuff out there on Substack, which is a really nice community. On TikTok, nice community as well.
Mhm.
People can be grueling though
Yeah.
in the comments section. And, I'm like, I mean, I have like 6,000 followers. It's nothing crazy. But I think about these like celebrity people who must get comments all day long, like, targeting their character and their worth and their looks, and it is so brutal, and so, like, when I first started this, I was, like, a little bit reactive to, some of those comments, and then, for the most part, I've been able to kinda step outside of that and say, "Okay, that's coming from them. Like, this
Yes.
comment has nothing to do with me. So
Yeah.
what I can control and my sphere of influence or locus of control is me. People are gonna comment, all they want, and I can't control that, but what I
Mhm.
can control is how I react and where I put my energy, to your point. So,
Yeah.
I'm probably not, unless you're being, like, super egregious, I'm probably not gonna waste my time replying. Now I'm just deleting and blocking people. But at first, I was, like, very angry and like,
Yeah.
"Wait, but it's not about me. It says
Right.
more about them."
Right. Yeah, it's a projection and this, need to judge and evaluate other people. I mean, it's people who are not happy with themselves who are doing that.
Yeah,
And it's great that you have been able to develop that capacity. I think that's, a very brave thing to put yourself out there. Part of why I haven't put myself out there too much is I think I may fear other people's, cruelty and judgment um, so if you can stay in this kind of state of non-judgment and self-referral, that is the key to doing anything you want to do, right?
right, 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 and I know, you're gonna do that too. I can feel it because I love your content, and, like, you're such a good writer, and
Oh,
you're such a great creator, and I think, like, more people need to hear from you, so
you're
I'm
so
super
kind.
excited for you. Yeah,
Oh, Jen, thank you. By the way, thank you for being my first this is my first Substack live. So
yeah,
I
and you're
never
killing
would
it.
have done
You're
it. And
leading
this
it.
is a
Mm,
multi-generational partnership because you're showing me the way and I'm following you and I appreciate it.
yeah, no, I appreciate all of your knowledge about AI. Honestly, when we talked, I was like, "Okay, you need to lead this session because I'm scratching the surface." Like, there's so much more even in our conversation last week. I would love to hear your thoughts for the future from an AI perspective. Like, where do you see us going from a human evolution and robotics? You
Yeah.
know.
Woo!
Mm,
I love to think and talk about all of this stuff.
yeah,
And I am an optimist. I believe in humanity, and I believe that we if you read as an English major the opening passage of Charles Dickens, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and people always think that, Great Expectations, by the way, they think that this moment is extraordinary, and they've always thought this throughout history, and which is not to say that it's not, it is, but it's also mundane at the same time. And so if we can kind of uh zoom out and see the moment for what it is, it's a transition. We don't know all the answers yet. We learn the answers through our actions and through what we do. I really reject people who get in, the idea that it's fatalistic and that, the robots are going to be our overlords. Um, I mean, a lot of people go there, and it's wild because now we are training artificial intelligence, and the way the people in the tech world talk about it, they talk about raising AI as if it's, a child. And
Mm,
we are, in a way, every time we engage with it, we're teaching it, right? It's hoovering up our information and putting it into a giant neural network. So we are training it to behave a certain way. I also believe in the goodness of humanity and the agency of artists and people. And I'm not worried about how things will go. I think throughout history and throughout time, it's always been a tension. And I don't believe that it's going to be this or that. Now, the transition to a lot of automation, I do believe that we're gonna see a lot of jobs go away. AI does create jobs, but not at the scale that we're losing jobs. Okay, so we're gonna get into a place, if you've ever heard people talk about universal basic income, I do believe we'll get to that point. I
mm,
don't know when. Will it be? It might be in our lifetimes. I don't know. And you know, when I think of my, father-in-law who just passed away, he was almost 94 years old, and the world that that he started into, what he left is unrecognizable, you know?
mm,
So I'm curious to see what's gonna happen, but
yeah.
I'm team humanity. Thank you
I'm
for asking.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss as well.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're a big picture thinker for sure. I
Mm.
love I love that. It's funny, I went to Bojangles the other week and a robot took my order, and
Wow.
so I was just
Yeah,
blown away,
yeah,
because, I'm used to a human coming on the, what do you even call it? Intercom or
yeah,
whatever it is, and, taking my order, and so I was like, "Wait a minute, this is a robot."
yep,
And then, you go in and you have these touch screens and fast food, and you don't even need a human to take your order that way either, so I think, like, a lot of the customer service jobs like that,
yes,
specifically in retail,
yeah.
are probably in trouble.
They
I
are.
shouldn't. Yeah.
To even add on to that, Jen, when I was at Google, I saw, Google was working with McDonald's doing an analysis of like how long each thing takes and, analyzing, well, this could be 3 seconds shorter, everything,
Wow.
every single movement within a McDonald's outfit, from putting the fries in the thing. It was incredible to watch, and they get the AI analysis, the cameras watch what's going on and can say, "Oh, you've got water on the floor, someone might slip, take care of that." So there's positives, but then there also can be negatives, so
Right, right. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. What would you say, like, how can somebody diversify their skill set, right?
Yeah.
If that type of work is potentially, one of the more vulnerable
Mhm.
fields, how can somebody diversify their skill set? And, like, using AI too, like,
Yeah.
how can they use it to their advantage?
Yeah, it's Jen, that's a great question. As a professor and a mom of 2 college students who I'm happy will be home. One of them is already home, and the other one's coming home later today,
Yay.
for the holiday. Uh, I advise my young people in my life to, um, get really good at something, to absolutely read, and I'm a big fan of getting a humanities degree, and not just, using your college degree as a way to get training, because any training you get is going to is very likely to become outdated very quickly, right?
Mm,
So if you learn how to think critically and you don't have AI do all the work for you, you learn to debate. You'll learn to be, hold different ideas at the same time, and to be well read, well exposed to the way things connect in the world. Um, I think that is the key. I am concerned about people who rely on service jobs, and that's also one of the things that I think is going to push that universal basic income sooner rather than later. I also do believe in, there is a renaissance of labor and people working with their hands and people, you know, learning trades. I know that's happening as well. Um, I don't know what the answer is, but I would just say whatever you study, don't be afraid to not don't be afraid. Make sure that you go deep, right? Because we are in a world of shallow everything. And when you have a deep expertise, you are different. You're standing out. And yeah,
yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that answer so much. And can you make your career your passion? Like, yeah, God,
that's a
yeah,
controversial question. So one of my
yeah.
favorite thought leaders is Scott Galloway, and he's always saying the only people who tell you to chase your passion are already rich. And I can see the value in that perspective. Um, what I believe is that you should always pursue your passion, um, while learning how to take care of yourself and pay the bills, right? So you're going to have to pay the bills, so get that taken care of, but don't give it all of your energy always, right? So like folks at Google, they're making a great living, but I encourage them, don't wait to be done here to start this thing that you want to do. Start it now and do that now. Don't wait, and don't defer to some other time in the future that this thing is going to be possible. You got to do it now. I That's advice I wish I had given myself when I was younger. But it's never too late. But like you're saying, Jen, having a portfolio career is the way of the future. So we do our, creative work. We have, like I have my teaching, I have my consulting. It's having multiple interests. It's for ADHD people, it's actually pretty fabulous.
It is pretty fabulous. I read a stat,
Yeah.
um, and my mentor had shared this with me, is that um, people are gonna have 3 career on average, 3 careers in their lifetime now. So, gone are the days probably where people work at the same company
Oh, yeah.
for 35 years,
Yeah.
and that's just not. And like, to your point, I always talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because if you
Mhm.
know me, I'm a nerd, I have an HR background,
Uh-huh.
and, like, that matters. So, when you look at that physiological bottom tier on Maslow's hierarchy, okay, are those needs being met? Food, clothes, water, finance.
Yes.
And then as you move up, you have safety, you have love and belonging, you have esteem, and then the self-actualization, which I think is like you're doing what you love and you're making it. But at any point in time, anything can happen when you
Anything can
talk about
happen. We're not in
humanity.
control. We're not in control. We're in control of our own daily, day-to-day, behaviors, but that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mother
yeah.
Nature will throw you, will show you who's really in charge.
Yeah. So diversifying your skill set, I think, is so critical,
Yeah.
if you're listening. So be thinking about that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
how can you do that for yourself? Like, I'm living it now, and I'm kind of walking that and sharing it as I go, because
Mhm.
I have this corporate HR and like educational background, and now I'm morphing into this content creator slash writer. And so it's like, it's a beautiful metamorphosis that I'm finally able to do what I love.
Yeah,
Um, However, my situation could change, and tomorrow I might need to go roll up my sleeves and get a restaurant job just to pay
exactly.
the bills. So,
Exactly, and
you
when
know,
you have your own core and you know your capabilities, it frees you because you know if you need to do it, you'll do it,
right, right,
you know?
right. It's a lot of identity work. I just put together I'm bringing a course to market around this and around careers and identity. I'm excited. Yeah, and it's gonna be good. And I wish, like you said earlier, I wish somebody would have told me earlier in my career and asked the right question, like, how do you want to feel? Because we ask people, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I think we're probably asking the wrong question for
That
people.
is great. That is such an insight. How do you wanna feel? I would
Yeah,
have
yeah.
approached everything differently if
Right.
somebody had asked me that.
Yeah, because we're just taught. We're
Yep,
just taught to go through life, get the job, have the kids, do the,
yep,
and that's just what society tells us is the right thing to do. And I think when you, like you said, when you figure out who you are at your core,
mhm,
that's a beautiful thing. And then that's your compass. That's your North Star. You know where to go from there,
yep,
once you're grounded in yourself.
yep, yep, until
Yeah.
you lose yourself again, and then you start over.
Yeah, see, you have more life experience under your so you're probably constantly reinventing yourself, right?
We all are, and that I look at things in the term in the cycle of nature, and that there are seasons and seasons, and they repeat and they repeat and repeat. Kind of the way we think of the world, I think I've been oriented to think of the world as like an upward climbing, and I would encourage people to think of it more as these are cycles and seasons, and we're just kind of we're 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 in a cycle of constant renewal. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really believe too, if you're not staying current with AI, like with everything in the trajectory, no matter the type of AI, like you should be educating yourself because that's the future. So I think some people have really hard feelings, like so
yeah.
anti AI, and but it is the future. Like it's here, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
And so I think accepting that, like you said, acceptance
it
is the first
is.
step.
It is. It's here, it's gonna be part of our world. I've have 3 kids. It's gonna be a huge part of their worlds, and other younger generations are shaping it, so my mission is to help them, think about the questions they need to think about. So should
Yeah.
we open up to see if our audience has any questions? Does anyone have anything you'd like to ask us or talk about? Thank you for being here.
Got some hearts. We are gonna be posting this as well, so
Great.
if you did not access the full conversation, you will have access, so we'll share it on our Substacks.
This was really fun, Jen.
This was so fun. This
Uh,
was so fun. Gosh, yeah, if nobody has any questions, you know, any last tips that you would say from your lens, call that people should be thinking about in AI and mindfulness?
yeah,
What are your thoughts?
I would say give it a try, play around, don't treat it so heavily in any direction. So it's not everything and it's not nothing. It's something. It's a big part of our life. So accept that, play with it, learn about it, and but remain, use it as a tool for you. Don't be a tool for it.
I love that.
That's
I always
my
say, I love it. Boss
Yeah.
the bot. You get out what
Boss the
you put
bot,
in.
baby. That's it. That's it. What about you? Any parting words?
Yeah, I think we can use AI to help with brainstorming, ideas, organizing your thoughts, executive dysfunction, um, getting a second opinion, like you said, bouncing ideas.
Yep.
From a writing perspective, if you were working in like a corporate setting, you'd be doing that anyway, having a second and third set of eyes on, writing before it goes out. So
Yep.
like use the tool to your advantage where you can. Just be mindful it has biases. And but you can train your bot to think, like you, and you have to
Yep.
constantly remind it. So again, you get out what you put in, don't lose your full brand voice. And just want to say thank you to you, Call, for sharing your knowledge and expertise. If you're not following Call's Substack, it's called Call's Creative. So we'll leave that in the article as well. But she writes a ton of great stuff. She also has a podcast, which is really good. Do you want to touch on that really fast? Your content
S
chaos?
Thank you, Jen. It's called Content Chaos. It is a weekly review that my husband and I do together. I really believe in the power of reflection to guide your life, and we reflect on 3 questions each week, and it's very short. It's always 20 minutes or less, and I have fun doing it, he has fun doing it, and we live in a content chaos world, and we get to have fun with it if we want to.
I love it, and I've listened, and it's really good, so you should tune in. It's very engaging. Um, we do have a question in the chat too,
Yay.
I think. Alan says, "Thank you for hosting this very informative session. I now have some better ideas as to how to incorporate it into my work, maintaining my voice creatively, and it's hard to see on the phone. Um, and of all not getting totally wrapped up in the axle and frustration with AI." That's a great point, Alan.
Yeah, Alan, it's, make it work for you, and if it doesn't work for you, let it go. You take what you like, you use it, and if you don't like it, bye-bye, because 'cause
Yeah,
you're the boss.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, these are all suggestions for everybody listening too. Like you have to take the reins and kind of decide how you want to navigate. But just really grateful. This has been such a fruitful discussion. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Call.
Thanks,
And
Jen.
yeah, have a great, for those in the celebrating, have a great Thanksgiving. And we will talk to you soon. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.